Okay, let me just actually stick on 2. Jesus Christ. Okay. Okay. Hi guys, I think like just about everybody we expected to have a very, very, very calm evening where we just got a bit sad. That very noisy, and we'll fix that at some point, but probably not today. But this is, I mean, to be honest, at this stage, well, why don't we just launch elections everywhere? I mean, this is the year of democracy of some nonsense, but good God, I'm very surprised by just exactly what just happened. Okay, so guys, like, firstly, what we're going to try to do is we're going to talk about what exactly happened in France today on the election. We're going to just look at everything going on, and then we're going to figure out what exactly just happened in Emmanuel Macron's mind, because it's a bit of a weird situation, to be honest. Firstly, quick sound check in the chat. Can everybody hear me? Can you hear me? Just type yes in the chat if you can. If you can't, okay, cool. Already good news. Perfect. I'm getting a lot of questions from just about everywhere. This is ridiculous. So first of all, let me just pop up and let me see how well this is going to actually work, because it's the first time I'm going to be using this to share stuff on social, and we'll see exactly how this goes down. God, that noise is going to get on my nose. I already feel it. Let's see if I can't switch to a screen. Give me 2 seconds, guys. Yeah, that's not what I wanted. Can I put browser source? Okay, that is very nice. Okay, hang on 2 seconds. Okay, cool. That is brilliant. Aside from the fact that it's... Hang on, give me a second. Okay. This is how we're gonna do things fun. Now, the image address, we'll drop it in here, and I'm going to need to drop this somehow behind the chat so I can actually see you guys there. Okay, cool. So you guys can all see this nice little photo box here, right? Okay. Oh yeah, so first of all, Kamzaya, I'm gonna guess that's how you say your name. Firstly, the fact that we've had a big participation increase now just about everywhere, for me is a perfectly good piece of good news, and we should all be happy about it. The problem is that, for the most part, we've not actually... My opinion, straight up, is that most of the parties haven't done their jobs, which is something that we should just talk about later on. But firstly, let's have a look at what the actual results have been today, because I think this is what's led to a lot of what's just been done by Macron and what Macron has decided to do. So, firstly, no surprise to anybody because the polls have been showing this, and you guys have seen this on just about every single French dispatch that I've put out for the last several months. You've got the Assemblée Nationale, who are way ahead of everybody else, over double the score of Macron's coalition. So RN 32.4, 15.2% for the Besoin d'Europe list led by Valérie Hayet, who is she's a great MEP, she's perfect, but she's very... Like, the campaign didn't necessarily work out to her favor, and she got blindsided by a lot of shenanigans. And they were followed quite quickly by the Parti Socialiste and Place Publique list led by Glucksmann, who is another, quite frankly, great MEP, who has done a brilliant job of effectively rebuilding everything that's happened. So the last 7 years of the PS crumbling seems to have sort of melted away, and they've now sort of cobbled together something that's working quite well. It was very much back in the center-left, social democrat, social liberal wing of politics, and is going quite well. They were followed by La France Insoumise, whose vote is gonna stay in the 7 to 8% ranking, purely based on the fact that unless they're bullying other members of the New PES coalition to do what they want them to do, it's never really working out. Then just behind them, the Ecologists at 5.6. Or no, just behind them, Les Républicains at 7, Ecologists at 5.6, Reconquête at 5.1, and then the Commies, and you'll get to them eventually. Now, quite honestly, we've... Several times a lot of people basically told them, look, the campaign's not working, you need to figure something out, because there wasn't enough aspirational politics, there wasn't enough aspirational messaging, there wasn't enough actual proper engagement, and there wasn't the Macron style of politics, which is always very visionary, very forward-thinking, and very much active, dynamic, and very movement. But unfortunately, by the time the message sort of sank in, nothing really held together, and actually I've got something that would be a very good demonstration of this. Give me 2 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, the campaign sucked, but I'm being nice because it's my party, Jasmine, but give me 2 seconds. Sorry. So, let's take that again. We've got 2 examples of, and after 4 years of COVID and all this shenanigans, I've still not figured out how to unmute myself, but you know, I'm 31, I'm now old, so I don't know how technology works. But, these are the proposals of Raphaël Glucksmann's Place Publique Parti Socialiste list. You see here, there are a lot of things, you're not going to be able to read it from here, but you can see every single one of these paragraphs is a concrete proposal that you could very much imagine being put into practice. You have about, what, 14, 15 maybe, proposals concretely in this list. And if I show you what Renaissance put together, and a lot of this isn't even a program. You know, like, this is very indicative of what happened with the campaign. This isn't a program, it's very much So number one is reinforcing the influence and the power of France in Europe. Now, the problem with that a lot of you will notice, considering the fact that a lot of you work in European politics, I'm guessing, or at least somewhat adjacent, that terrifies just about everybody in Europe. Because the biggest problem that we have as French actors in Europe, whether you're working for the PES or Renaissance and everything, quite honestly, you're just sat there thinking, people almost don't want to work with you because you're French and because they feel like you're just trying to maneuver around them and make them do what you want. And speaking of that, and we just had a very good point in the chat, if they don't have a program now, why would he call a snap election in 1 month? And you know what? That's the big question, because quite frankly, I don't know what he's doing. And this is potentially one of the weirdest things I've seen, and I think Jasmina put together a very good point here that maybe he's trying to scare the citizens from the far right, trying to put together things in terms of a united front, and trying to put together a united opposition against the far right, and maybe renew the cordon sanitaire, which is entirely possible. And regarding the point of the people with read program, they do. Honestly, I have quite a lot of friends in France and in the Français de l'étranger community in Brussels, London, even Denmark, other places. And quite honestly, people look forward to receiving basically, what happens, you get an envelope that is thick like this with every single party's campaign programs, and people actually do read them. There's not just old people, but youngsters like myself, teeny boppers, just about everybody, And it's something that actually works quite well. Now, I'm going to try to see if I can't get this to allow me to stream my things. Let's see if I can. Let's see if this works. I'm gonna try to just pick this out, but this is the problem when you use something for the first time. Now, is this gonna work? What does this mean? Yeah, go on. How this works. Now, I'm gonna see. Now, can you guys actually see anything? I'm guessing no. This is a massive pain in the backside. No, okay, so this is just not gonna work, so we're just gonna have to run with this in the worst way possible. But, okay. So, effectively, what has happened and what I think is going on is that Macron has basically... He's trying a gambit to try to figure out how to get out of a pickle. And basically what's happened is after years and years and years of some kind of... how do you put this? Effectively, when you're the president in France, you and your party become the bullseye for just about everybody in the country. And this is something that is quite tough to get out of, especially when your election results aren't giving yourself a sufficient enough buffer to actually get you out of the situation. And this is effectively what's being done now, because he's effectively pulled the plug on a mandate that was already very problematic. So I don't know how many of you read the French Dispatch. If not, you should definitely sign up for it. What actually happens ultimately, what's been happening throughout this entire mandate is that you have basically had a very strong portion of the electorate that has been, of the elected officials, who have been very aggressive in terms of just about every possible way of hammering away at the presidency. So I'm gonna try to see if I can plonk just somewhere here. And I'm gonna try see if I can go here. So firstly, to let you guys know what exactly has been happening with all this. Oh god, this is the worst thing ever. What on earth? Okay, guys, you can't see anything, but we'll have to make... This is terrible. Okay, give me 2 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. Because, naturally, doing this for the first time means that just about everything that could go wrong is probably going to go wrong, and I appreciate all your patience. People always say I'm not nice enough to you people on social media. I will try to be now. But... Okay, let's wait. Oh, it still doesn't want to play ball. Okay, well, if I just get rid of this. Would this work? Okay, so guys, I'm gonna have to... Don't you love it when technology works? Share this. Now, guide. Oh, how about that? Actually worked. Okay, cool. So, ladies and gentlemen, for those who want to know just how bad things have gotten for the majority, if you look at this, if you look at this little block that I'm building here, this is what Emmanuel Macron is working with in the parliament. So as far as I remember, we basically have a minority government with about, let's say, 249 MPs, I think, and the opposition is about 328 strong. This means, naturally, that there is a lot of... If I can shorten this so I can see the chat. Basically, what this means is that we're severely outnumbered. Basically, as a centrist force, Renaissance is severely outnumbered, and you look at, for example, LFI, who have 75 MPs. You have the Assemblée Nationale, who have 88, led by Marine Le Pen. You have Les Républicains, who have 62. And then you have everybody else who's got 31, 23, 22, 20. And what's effectively happening is that they've had, let's say, 2 years now of just sheer chaos all the time. It has been nothing but chaos, it has been nothing but problems, it has been nothing but things blowing up in Macron's face, and he's had to basically resort to executive privilege of the government almost constantly, purely to actually get through legislations. This happened with the pension reforms, this happened with the to break strikes, this happened with several economic legislative initiatives. This has basically been... It's just been problematic from top to bottom, basically, and honestly, I think that this was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back, and it's almost a... I mean, I said this on Twitter earlier, but this is... soit ça passe, soit ça casse. Either it goes or it breaks. And I think at this stage, there's several options for... There's several reasons for why he's done this, and I'll get to your question in a second, just me now. But there's several options, several reasons why he may have done this. Firstly, he thinks that this was a fluke and that he can maybe try to play some magic by basically focusing the election around himself and to try to buy himself a couple of years of peace, because otherwise it's just going to be constant havoc, the same disruptive efforts, the same disruptive actions, the same same shenanigans, basically, where you've got La France Insoumise and the RN just causing absolute bedlam, blocking everything, constantly running censure motions to try to bring down the government, etc., etc. Alternatively, there may even be a case that's basically he's been frustrated with the campaign that's happened in the EP elections, which have been, quite frankly, a disaster, if I may say so. You don't lose something like 7 or 8% out of nowhere just because they don't like you. You have to have made a mistake as well, even if it plays a role. You know, people don't just turn code because they dislike you. But alternatively, there may have been a calculation internally that there may be a way to try to create some kind of, like you said earlier, Jasmina, in the chat, there's always the possibility that he may think that there's a chance to try to spin this into some sort of grander pro-European coalition. Early on in the campaign, Valérie Hayer reached out to several people in the Glucksmann campaign and was saying on panels and debates that actually Glucksmann felt like he should belong to Renaissance rather than the PS. And maybe there's a vague hope that they'll be able to drag voters away from there, that they may be able to drag people from Glucksmann's wing, or maybe even strengthen Glucksmann's wing in the PS. I mean, La France Insoumise has found itself weakened to some extent, the PS is looking a lot stronger, the Ecolo are sort of existing, and Les Républicains have actually lost a lot of votes. So basically what I could see happening, and to be honest, I'm open to anybody who may have a dissenting opinion on this, is that really, I feel like what's actually happened here is that he may actually be hoping somehow that he can spin this in a way that actually reduces the opposition and creates more friendly forces, friendly MPs, friendly parties in the Assemblée Nationale, and really try to safeguard some kind of work in all of it. So just going back to the chat, so Macron's in his second term. If it comes to cohabitation, it will pave the way for an RN presidency and water gambit. To be honest, yeah, I mean, if it goes badly, this blows up in Macron's face. Quite honestly, this writes off the rest of his mandate. If what we see happened in the EP elections is replicated, where our majority is reduced by 7 to 8% in the polls, I mean, I don't know what the exact calculation will be in that case, but we're no longer going to have this rough 249 MP grouping, to be honest. We're going to be very weak. We're going to maybe go below 200, which is quite tough, because then I don't even think you're in a majority. I mean, let me remind myself, what is a majority in the Assembly? 180 something. I never remember the actual specific. Bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. 289 seats are required for a majority. That's a big problem, to be honest. And if he fails to, if the president's majority drops to 200, I don't think Macron controls the parliament anymore. He doesn't control the agenda, and he goes into cohabitation, and it basically becomes absolute chaos. So you may see, depending on if the score is basically repeated in the Assemblée Nationale, you may see a right-wing minority government led by Marine Le Pen, which could also be the gambit, to be honest. I mean, this could actually be what he's also hoping for. Maybe he thinks we lose, Marine Le Pen comes through, Marine Le Pen causes absolute chaos, we have time to lick our wounds, stay out of the limelight, rebuild our party, rebuild the system, figure out who's going to be our candidate, and then when 2026 comes around, when 2027 is around, when the elections are in full swing, they can start hammering away at the far right. This is something that could work, you know? I honestly feel at this point he is in such a situation where he cannot do much but going all in. I know some people who voted in France, they usually vote for him, they're voting for Glucksmann just to diversify a bit. Diversify a bit, maybe not so much, but I know lots of people who work for for the Renaissance Party and our party in general, in the Assemblée Nationale, who all flipped to Glucksmann. I know a lot of people who from my party who actually flipped to Duxman, and it's something that's quite tough to bear. And there's something that's again, it comes down to the fact that the campaign was bad. Like the campaign was catastrophically bad. I've not seen anything this bad in a while. Like this was almost equivalent to Remain in 2016, well 2015, 2016. Like this was almost Brexit bad. You know? And this is something that could actually break the back of the party, to be honest, because look, the party is being held together with string at this stage because there's lots of people who are considering leaving. There's lots of people who are very much not keen to leave. There's lots of people who aren't. I just got a message from a party member actually. Joy of joys, we're about to lose another election. Great. Morale is high and everybody's positive. But no, this is turning into a very, very big shit show, quite frankly. Like this is turning into a case where several people aren't really using their heads. People aren't thinking about this seriously. People aren't actually taking this seriously. A lot of people are just looking out for their jobs, and now, you know, you've got the president who basically says, okay, sort yourselves out, you're in the deep end. But, and also, if anybody has any questions below, please, questions below. If anybody has questions in the chat, then please drop them in the chat. But it's now gotten to the stage. Okay, now all the Europeans have realized what's happened, now they're panicking. Great. Effectively, what's basically happened... Oh, okay, this is very interesting. Oh, this is very interesting. Oh, okay. That got weird. Oh, okay. So, something else has just happened, basically. So, basically what's just happened is now that everything is kicking off with the election, the Renaissance have now decided that rather than just focusing exclusively on their parties, so the presidential camps are the majority, so Horizon, Modem, Renaissance, and the smaller parties, they have decided that they're going to give the nominations to all of the outgoing MPs, including those from the opposition who are members of the Republican field, and who are keen to work together for a clear protective country. Okay, so this is political blah 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 anyway, but okay, so this is starting to make more sense, and this is sort of confirming what we just said. So yeah, this is turning into a situation where I think, yeah, so they're going to try to poach a lot of members and MPs from opposition camps. Let me see if I can't share this screen. Work. Please, for the love of God, don't blow up in my face. That would be outstanding. Oh, there we go. How about that? Technology works. We're in 2024 now. Okay, so yeah, it's a case of... yeah. So here, looking to work with all of the opposition forces, which is likely going to blow up because you're going to have already... Mélenchon is trying to do what he did in 2022 to recreate the New PES coalition, so basically the left-wing union, which is something that's quite interesting. And on top of that, he's basically going to do everything he can to try to subjugate the Parti Socialiste again. So, yeah. So basically everybody's very happy there's an election now, probably aside from our own deputy. And effectively what's happening, you're going to start seeing a much more aggressive vote. So think of all the things that have happened recently, think of all the things that have happened in Paris, so all of the manifestations, all of the pro-Palestine stuff, all of the workers' rights protests, all of the anti-government protests, those are basically going to kick into gear and go berserk for the next... But here's the thing, and I think Mélenchon is making a mistake here. is that he was so violent and aggressive that when he was running this election campaign in 2022, that he basically had a completely collapsed left-wing field. The PS was in shambles after Anne Hidalgo's famous 1.4% or whatever the hell it was, which cost the PS a lot of money and they had to spend years recovering from. You had the ecologists who weren't doing too great either, and they were in quite a tough spot because there were several scandals with their leader and several MPs and blah blah blah, and the communists, like usual, were just happy to tag along and do random things. Now it's quite different, because I think I got a chart somewhere here. Oh wow, that is horrifying. Okay, we're gonna come back to this in a second. Oh my god. Christ. Okay. Where is the results? So, I don't really care about Spain right now. My country's on fire. Here we are. So, if we look at the scores, so you've got RN, Renaissance, blah blah. The PS are at roughly double the score of La France Insoumise, and La France Insoumise is only 3-ish% ahead. So these are updating because we haven't got the final scores yet, and we'll find out sometime later. And so, for example, if you take just the Parti Communiste, the Lutte Ouvrière, and the ecologists, so the far left in general, you end up higher than Mélenchon's list, if I'm wrong, or just on power. And then you've got the Parti Socialiste. And let's also remember that recently Glucksmann was asked about what he would do in the case of such an election. And Glucksmann basically said, quite frankly, I'm not going to work with Mélenchon. We can do a union, Mélenchon's not involved, otherwise I'm not involved. Which means that Mélenchon basically has to run his own little thing on the side and hope that he can sort of compete with the PS and Place Publique. And this is where it's going to get interesting as well, because I'm wondering who had the highest score between Place Publique and Parti Socialiste. Because they now need to negotiate who's going to take the lead in the national elections and all this kind of thing, and how they're going to play this out. Now, on top of that, let's go up here. And for those who are interested in Spain, Partido Popular came first, PSOE came second, Vox came third, and Ciudadanos, after literally everybody trying to save them from themselves, including yours truly, they basically collapsed to 1.0% and no MPs, so tiny violin in the back, bad. But this is what's scaring me a little bit, to be quite honest, is that, okay, so abroad, Renaissance did well, quite honestly. However, all this brown you're seeing is that's not what I want to do. So if you look here, all of this brown is all RN territory. And that is... yeah. And do we have anything from Paris yet? We don't have anything from Paris yet, do we? I don't find Paris, I feel like I'm happy. Oh, they won't have announced yet. Yeah, okay. Yeah, this is problematic. So all of this is just... Jesus Christ, they basically got almost 50% in some areas. That's really bad. That's... what happened in La Rochelle? That is absolutely catastrophic. That is absolutely catastrophic. I have never seen a score like this ever in my life. Yeah, but the yellow is here. Chamonix, where all the ski instructors live and all the rich people have their mistresses and everything. There's a bit of yellow like here. in Mayenne, and okay, so here's something that many of you may not know. Mayenne is where Valérie Hayet comes from. So our tête de list, our tête de list didn't even manage to win a majority in her own department. Which is pretty fucking bad. I mean, Paris, this is all... Everything around here is going to be quite interesting. So here, when the areas around Paris, it looks like a pretty fun time. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. See when it actually comes around. But... Oh man, this is the football, to be honest. But... Oof. Okay, this is gonna be pretty rough. Yeah. Jesus Christ. And then in the south, you've got a lot more pink. So, okay, so just to go back to the point I was trying to make earlier, so Mélenchon is... That noise is gonna give me some kind of stroke. So if you go down here, usually La France Insoumise was doing quite well down here. Like, La France Insoumise was usually having a pretty good time in general, and they seem to have not. So Gauche Radicale, so they did well in the overseas territories because they played the anti-colonial card quite frequently. So New Caledonia, Martinique, La Réunion, they did okay. No, not great, but they did okay. Guyane, aside from that, they were pretty much invisible. Seine-et-Marne, un peu aussi. Fontainebleau. Yeah, Jesus Christ. Oh, come on, this is right. Oh, les Français ont un résultat clair, ils nous donnent le résultat plus de leur vie. En fait, c'est nombreux aussi à faire le choix. Le président de la République l'a dit, leurs choix ne peuvent pas rester sans. Il a décidé ce soir de leur donner la parole et de choisir le pays. On ne se trompe pas lorsque l'on donne la parole aux Français. Okay, so basically, Valérie Hayet is taking absolutely no responsibility for what just happened. To be straight. She's basically said what just about everybody has said who is in the RN, which is that nobody should be happy about the elections. And that despite all of their efforts, so her campaign team, her Renaissance, everything, we were not able to convince them to put us in the lead. And she cautioned everybody against the populism that's growing everybody in Europe. Now, is it everywhere in Europe right now? Because I feel like the Liberals did quite well just about everywhere. Socialists as well. You have some raises in the far right, but there hasn't been the catastrophic wave of hell that people have been making it sound like. Here she says, she justifies Macron's gambit by saying, look, the French people are asking for more results, more concrete proposals, they're asking us to change their lives quicker. Why didn't we try to do that during the election? Why didn't we have a proposal? Why is everybody having a heart attack because the presidential majority shit the bed for 3 months? Why is this happening? I mean, I'm sure, like most of you guys, I was planning to basically drink tea and play video games. But I mean, right now, my country's on fire, so I'm here helping you guys to understand everything as a good journalist, apparently. But okay. And when it comes to the Telegraph, yeah, they'll claim that's the far right one. And to be honest, in some ways they did. I mean, in France, they go away. And go back to this. So, okay, let's have a quick look at what's actually happened across Europe, because I'm sure many of you are interested. Oh, this is way better than we expected. Oh. Ah, okay, that's not bad. Okay, so like you, okay, let's start breaking through some of these results. So we're not gonna have any final results until 11. Just for everybody, you know. Let me see if I can't make this a bit bigger. Okay, so okay, so we are moving right in the European Union. For those who weren't aware of everything that's been happening. And again, if you have any questions or you want me to zoom in on something, you just tell me and you put it below and we have a look. Huh? But here we're looking at a lot of things. So for example, in Germany, this has been blown out of proportion, I think, but you know, it is what it is. So Alternative for Deutschland has come in quite strong. Yeah, they've got, I zoom by touching on this. I actually, you know what, hold on, we're gonna do it this. Nope, we're not gonna do it that way. We're gonna go the long way around. So, looking at what's actually happened. Please tell me they're actually gonna start putting results on this page. Okay, let's see. No. Okay. Let me try something. Gonna work. Nice if it... Hope you're enjoying the lovely jazz music in the background. Yeah, you know what we're gonna have to do? Oh, I hate when it doesn't. I'll do that. Great. Okay. Got to find Germany here somewhere, guys. Oh god, that kills my soul. Look. So, oh god, where are we going with this? What exit poll data? Oh yeah. Okay, what's it? I'm not the Tories, and I'm not Rishi. Oh, that's very interesting, actually. Well, that's kind of expected, to be honest. Is it really interesting? Not so sure. Seems quite. I mean. Yeah, I'm glad that Dr. Southcock. I see you, big man. I see you. And I'm not gonna say your name again, but... yeah, I mean, to be honest, it makes sense that they've gone from the far left to supporting the far right, because the far left have never really been in power and they've never really been able to do much. And to be honest, they've not really been able to... They've never been in a position to actually help them out, you know. But... looking at Germany, the non-inscrit total that we saw over here on, I'm gonna up here as well. The thing that we saw here where it just says, you know, non-inscrit 26%, don't take these as the total for the far right or whatever, okay? That's just the people who aren't on an actual group list in the EP. if you look at Germany here, for example, it's only 16 seats for the AfD, which is still huge, don't get me wrong, but it's still not this smashing majority that people were expecting and praying for, you know. So first up, the CDU, CSU have still come forward and they're still kicking quite strong. So they've come back, they've recovered from the mistake, from what happened post-Merkel, they've recovered from the last election where they got trounced by Scholz and co. And they're now back in charge. This is followed by AfD in 16 seats, SPD with 14 seats, and the Grüne have 12 seats. And around this, you got various people like the CSU who are attached to the CDU but are only based in Bavaria because Germany is a great country. So effectively, CDU, CSU, you can consider it to be one list. So they have 30 seats, effectively. CSU is just CDU in Bavaria, CDU is just CSU in mainland Germany. Because Bavaria is off in the hinterlands of the Ocean of Bonn as well. After that, you have various confederations. The FDP basically matched what they have last time. High Wähler, the kind of crazy liberals in the European Parliament, are also kicking quite strongly. And the big surprise, actually, is Volt. I didn't expect Volt to come out so strongly. So Volt overperformed in the polls quite heavily, to be honest. And they did a really good job of actually just coming forward and making things work and having a look. And to be honest, the campaign was one of the worst I have ever seen in my life. I mean, I've never seen a political candidate do such strange things purely for attention. But you know what? Good for Damian Borslager. He managed to spin it in a way that got him and a friend elected. And, you know, they're having a good time. The Grüne did get an absolute beating, but to be honest, the Green Wave was kind of over. You know, they were always going to have a look at other things. They were always going to suffer in some way. I have Hungary yet. Ooh, do I want to check what happened in Hungary? What's going on? Oh shit, okay, that's... Oh, that's not good. Oh. So a new estimation has actually got Renaissance down to 14.5%. 5.5 away from Glucksmann's list. Constance Mies 10.1, Républicain 7.2. 5.5, Reconquête got 5.3. Ooh, okay. That's... Okay, and Macron's uniting the government. Okay, we'll come back to this stuff in a bit. But looking at Hungary, I want to see what Hungary's up to. What did Orbán do? That's an exit poll? Do I have a Hungarian in the chat? Raise your hands if you're Hungarian. Giving you 3 seconds. Oh, okay. I'm gonna assume this is a exit poll. Yeah. Yeah. Momentum collapsed. The SND Greens EFA coalition collapsed. The Green, the MKKP, I don't know who they are, but they seem to have had a relatively strong show. Who are they? Hungarian Tudel Dog Party. Ah, okay. Well, joy. You say had a good time. But TISA, so this is the party that's been founded by the guy who was really happy to support Viktor Orban until he saw that, was it his wife, who had basically come out of nowhere and, well, not come out of nowhere, she committed corruption. And he basically decided that it was now his opportunity to get out, basically. Yeah, I want to see if I can't... Is it purely that it's think it's Brave that blocks this, isn't it? You know what, guys? If you give me a second, I'm gonna switch this chaotic disaster out of the way, and I'm just gonna log in on Twitter on. No. 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 Okay, we're just gonna. No. We'll keep the jazz because I know you guys like it and it makes you feel warm and fuzzy inside. Let me just log into my Twitter account on Chrome so I can actually share what's actually going without having this kaleidoscope image on the side. So yeah, yes, it's the new guy that looks like Ken, has the ex-wife who is Evil Bobby, and Momentum. I don't know, was Katka head of list still? I can't remember if Katka was the head of list. But I hope she gets elected again because she was a pretty good MEP, to be honest. Okay, so Katka will get elected again, great. At least... Another text I received from someone is absolute madness. Who's giving macro advice? Rishi Sunak. Joy of joys. Where's my one of my 700 authenticators on this phone? I can log into my... Oh, Anna was... I don't think I worked with Anna when I was back in the... Elf, but... is this going to work? Is this going to... Did it work? Hallelujah, you can even see my extremely tired face. Okay, cool. Okay, guys, look. I know I do the cynical bastard act a lot on social media, and I know you guys follow me exclusively for that, because God knows I have nothing important to say. But Europe isn't falling apart, okay? People are people are voting out of protest for the far right. They see an opportunity for people to actually do more, or like they want to have some kind of solution to the problems they're seeing, and they're not really feeling that they're getting listened to. And okay, there's a lot of conspiracy theories, there's lots of issues at hand, there's lots of shenanigans happening, there's lots of fear, there's lots of danger, there's lots of scary things happening. And to be honest as well, this is something that people need to remember. People are scared about what's happening in Ukraine and Russia, you know, and people, listen, you don't have to tell me that Europe's in a dangerous place, huh? But people are honestly quite scared about what's happening in Europe. People are really scared about the things that they're seeing, and people don't understand how to... People aren't equipped to deal with the things that we're seeing today, okay? COVID was terrifying for so many people because of the fact that we have never seen a pandemic in Europe in our lifetimes, or in the last 100 years, like that. You know, it wasn't since what, the Great Flu in New York in the 1900s or something, in the early 1900s, where people were really freaking out, and it took them like 5 years to get under control, you know. People haven't seen anything like that for almost a century, just like people haven't seen a big war in Europe in a century. People aren't equipped to handle these situations, and also they're not equipped by the education systems to actually understand what's happening around them. And to be honest, I think you're being a bit mean, Mr. Funny Name, but it's true, to be honest. Like, a lot of people are victims of the fact that we have had an unprecedented period of peace. The fact that peace is dangerous in some ways because it leaves you less equipped for dangerous situations. Not that I'm wishing for dangerous situations, because war is bad, and quite frankly, I'm not a homicidal maniac, but you know, it's one of those things. It's something that you can't... Yeah, okay, listen. I'm not saying what Europe has been entirely at peace, you know, I don't want to say victims, but those of you who experienced the wars in Yugoslavia and the collapse of that state, you know, you guys have all my sympathy, and I fully understand where you guys are coming from. Really, but you know what I mean, broadly speaking. But ultimately, yeah, it's getting a bit funky, it's getting a bit chaotic, and it's one of those things that I'm cautious about where we're going with everything going here, and I wonder if there isn't some logic in the fact that, yeah, you do need to let the far right almost take over and let them embarrass themselves constantly. It's one of those things that you can't necessarily. It's a tough one. You know, it's education, I think, and
oh my God, perfect,
people have heard me saying this. I mean, Jasmina has heard me saying this for decades, quite honestly. You don't actually have the education system there to actually teach people how to actually fully comprehend what is happening in politics around them. It's why, for example, if you go and speak to people about certain things, like you try to explain to somebody why you need to invest 7 billion euros into hydrogen. It's nothing that's going to have something that's going to come out with immediate effect. It's not even going to have midterm effects. It's a long-term project that you're going to build up over time. The average mind isn't necessarily equipped or trained to handle that kind of thought process. You know, it's very nice for us in the political sphere to be saying this kind of stuff, like we really need more hydrogen energy. We need to fight for the future of Europe. We need to build a European Union. We need to build a federal state. We need to, I don't know, like bring back the Smurfs or God knows what, you know. But people, the average person doesn't care. They want to know, okay, what's this going to mean for me now? How is this going to make my life better now? How is this actually going to change my life, you know? And this is something that's, yeah, like you say, the hindsight is 2020. You cannot expect people to have the same views as you in the first place, and all you can really do is try to give them the facts and the figures and the actual truth of the matter, and then hope that they're actually going to have it in hand and it's going to make sense to them, you know? And unfortunately, we neither do this in the education sphere, and I've seen some of the education programs, and I mean, I had a horrendous education myself, but it's a lot of this stuff is shit shows. And yeah, exactly like you say, if you actually see what happened with COVID, people understood that, you know, you don't just buy a Nintendo Switch. You know, that Nintendo Switch has to be built somewhere. You don't just buy an iPhone. You have to get certain minerals from certain places and certain continents, and it comes from. And energy independence is a big thing as well. Unfortunately, I don't think that message quite cut through, and lots of people are now actually reacting out of fear and hoping that maybe if they're really nice to Vladimir Putin, I sort of hope that my country setting itself on fire would inoculate the rest of Europe a bit. It did to an extent. I mean, I did a lot of the campaign for 2019, for the European elections, for the consular elections in, what was it, 2021 when I was still in 2020 when I was still in Amsterdam, and the presidential and legislative elections in France. Pardon me, ladies and gentlemen, in 2022. Now, that showed quite a lot of... You saw that people were very against Brexit. Like, people were even saying, like, I spoke to a few guys from the RN, and even they were like, look, we're not touching this. Like, this isn't happening. Like, the guys from the Frexit crowd, they basically all quit. The people who were pro-Frexit in the voting blocks were very much saying, you know what, I'm good, whatever. And to be honest, it did, but the problem is that a lot of the far-right vote, and I'm going out on a limb here, and please do feel free to share alternative opinions on this. The far-right vote now isn't really about quitting the EU or getting out of the way or just getting through. It's almost it's a reaction sort of to the collapse of US hegemony, I want to say, almost. It's a reaction to the fact that a lot of Europeans feel that they don't actually have any power anymore over what's happening in their sphere. And on top of that, it's also a reaction to the fact that they don't understand Europe. They don't understand exactly what's going on. They don't understand the processes or why they elect people or why there's so much money going there. And then you have Jordan Bardella, who turns up and he starts going, you know what? I agree with you. We should cancel all of the funding for the EU. We should get rid of the institutions. Fuck it, whatever. They're not very good for you. They don't like you. They don't believe in you. They don't understand what you're saying. They don't understand what you want. And then what they end up doing is they vote for them and say, these guys are going to sort us out. It's great. Not knowing that Bardella is one of the worst criminals when it comes to actually... Criminal is a strong word, but one of the worst people when it comes to going to the EP, tagging in, getting his money in, and going home to hang out with Marine and watch reruns of TV shows from the Trente Glorieuses about how France used to be really great and everything was amazing. And we knew what we were and we knew where we came. And I agree with you, and to be honest, so I don't agree on the fact that satirical shows aren't good, because I know that you're referencing Parlement. I know that you're referencing Parlement, and that TV show has done more for the pro-European wing of politics than many people would like to believe. I mean, it has actually... I have family in France that have watched it, and they were like, this is great. I really get it now. I understand it. Exactly. Parlement's amazing. Come on. Hell, I'm half tempted to try to do a watch stream here sometime as well. And no, I agree. I'm going to come to Lofro's point as well. But we do need to actually have a proper EU propaganda machine without... And we need to actually have proper channels, TV shows set in Brussels, proper engagement with people. We need to have proper shows. It needs to be on the news. Because honestly, I remember when I was young. I remember when I was like a wee whippersnapper living in Croydon, doing God knows what. I was playing with Playmobil or something. And every Saturday and Sunday morning, my dad, when he was having his breakfast, no, cheers as well. Thanks for coming. And good gotcha with the name. Have a nice evening, man. Yes, I come from Croydon. That's why do you think I'm such a tough bastard? But and this is where my charming demeanor comes from. I grew up with hostility in Croydon. I grew up with the gangs in Croydon that made me such a cheerful, bright, and happy individual. But no, yeah, I mean, we need to do more stuff in the EU. And this is, you know, when I was young, my dad would watch Euronews every Saturday and Sunday morning, and some France 24 or France TV, whatever the hell it was called at the time. And we watched the news, and there was always points on the EU. There were always points on how the EU functions. There were always points on what was going on at the EU level, even in the early 2000s. I mean, and as a kid, like, this stuff was fascinating to me. I just witnessed 9/11. I was getting involved in the political sphere in South London. I was doing a lot of political reading. I was doing a lot of political investigation. And if you have things like that that explain things very simply, you end up with a goldmine. But the problem is, a lot of broadcasters are quite resistant to teaming up. There's questions about monopolies, I believe. I think there was a thing with Vestager where she blocked some kind of big merger between some TV companies that would have done a big EU channel or something. You've got some things that are working, like you got Euronews, but Arte does some good stuff, but Arte is also mostly French and German and doesn't really go further than that. But there's a lot of scope for this kind of thing. But I mean, look, as well, the people who are really pro-EU should do their own media stuff too. I mean, this is why I started the French Dispatch, and this is why I started doing a lot more EU stuff on social. This is why I'm trying to do some Twitch stuff, because quite honestly, I think it's useful to have people who don't work within the EU and who don't understand the EU be able to ask me questions directly on elections and this kind of stuff, just like here. And on top of that, you've just got a lot of opportunities to just chat with people, you know? So I mean, and then, yeah. But going here to what Lofro just said, so the left has become aggressive in pushing their agenda without actually asking the people if they agree or not. The result is now the damn right coming in. To be honest, I agree. Because here is the thing, is that... And we have to also sort of steelman this discussion and this point a lot, because you sort of need to see why people were doing this. And what exactly this led to, because that's That actually sounds like kind of a cool idea, Jasmina, and I may need to have a conversation about that when you're next in Brussels. But well, a lot of the fact is that we saw this huge wave. We saw the green wave in 2019, you know. So let me see if I can bring it up here. Actually, 2019 the election results. Let's see, get it up. We saw quite a strong green wave. So we had. Okay, so it wasn't huge. It wasn't this massive killer wave, but it still had 11.7%. And the reality is that a lot of people were getting freaked out by a lot of what they were seeing when it came to the climate change. You know, we were seeing a lot more natural disasters. We were seeing incredibly high temperatures, from what I remember. There was a lot of rain. There was a lot of unstable weather. We were seeing like blizzards in like April or like June or something. And it's one of those things that we have to remember that a lot of things were happening at the same time. And so, combine that with the green wave. Wait, who's this guy just below? But you saw lots of concern. You saw a lot of things that were freaking people out, and so people decided that they wanted to try to do something about it. So you had a lot of the really hard left ecologists, like need to do it at all costs type people who wanted to just absolutely just gun it down the motorway. Just create an environmental transition autobahn and just like bombard down the highway. And then on top of that, you saw lots of other parties who saw, you know what, actually, there's something here. Voters are saying that they care about this topic. I mean, we still had, what was it, 19 million voters, almost 20 million voters who voted for explicitly ecological transition parties and parties to do something. And so you started to see various branches of this popping up. So you had the hardcore ecologist movement, then you had Vestaya and, well, not Vestaya, but you had all the new liberal parties who were trying to figure out how to do things, you know, how do we do this as social liberals? How do we do this as classical liberals? How do we organize this as conservative liberals, etc., etc.? How do libertarians view the ecological movement? How do we put forward policy? The SND did something similar where they wanted to figure out how they could do something as Soc Dems, as the leftists, etc., etc. The EPP were also trying to figure out as well. Because people need to remember, despite the fact that Manfred Weber will bend over at any opportunity, and bend over backwards, I mean, but to capitalize on a movement, despite all of his support for the farmers in Brussels and across Europe, he was also on the boat. Like, this man was also very much keen on doing ecological transition, everything, blah blah blah. I think even a couple of guys from the ECR and the ID were doing things. But you know, everybody wanted a piece of the action. Everybody saw concerns. You had the big floods in Germany. You had everything, and so people wanted solutions. Now the issue is, people kind of put the cart before the horse. So there were a couple of countries where we did some proper conversations and we had some proper engagement with the citizenry. So for example, in France, there was all these ecological conventions where we spoke to the citizenry, where we tried to engage with them to try to find what the citizens wanted and try to put some stuff in place. And basically what ended up happening is that a lot of the stuff couldn't actually be employed, like logistically. So I can't remember which convention it was, but I think it was maybe the one in 2021, maybe. But there was some stuff there that couldn't be done, and like also, let's not forget one of the things that freaked out a lot of people, and let me remind myself when this actually happened, because this is something that always freaks me out. This happened in... oh no, this is way earlier. But I mean, something that was sort of linked was that you had the Gilets jaunes movement. So in Macron's 2017 election, he had this whole thing where to fund the ecological transition, they would basically put a tax on gas and diesel, like I think it was like 1% or something, or like a few percentage, and they would then very quickly, effectively, they would use that to fund the transition. But the problem was that the minute they did this, everybody started complaining, and then what we ended up with was the Gilets jaunes. And of course, because of the nature of French politics, this became a huge catastrophe because people started going crazy. People were going out to their minds. People were using this to create politics, and it was a mess, quite honestly. But it's something like you've always got these events that basically cause these problems. You've always got events that make the ecological case a little bit funny, and as you say, headers, and as you also say, Lofro, everybody does love the green movement and they love the idea of the ecological transition, but they do take quite a NIMBY position where they don't actually want it. So, for example, I think it was one of the leaders of the Gilets jaunes, the bespectacled lady from Brittany. She apparently had voted Macron. She was very bought into the project, but when it turned out that for her 2 SUVs, she would have to then pay extra money to be able to fill off both tanks, she lost her mind. And she basically just went and became can't remember, a far left or a far right politician. Like, I think she either aligned herself with Zemmour or she went with Mélenchon or something. But yeah, you see, it was a very annoying thing. And I remember people who, quite honestly, had no business having so many cars in their house. Okay, sure, in some regions you need to have vehicles because you have two parents who need to drive, and you need the cars. But if you're driving 2 gas guzzlers, you shouldn't be surprised that it costs you more than it costs you for a Twingo. But yeah, as you say, Lofro, what works in Germany doesn't work in Greece. It doesn't work in France. It doesn't necessarily work in Poland, etc. And this is one of these things that people also forget. But people forget that this is the case, but also this is exactly what we're trying to change at the European level. Because, to be honest, I do believe that we are seeing a standardization of a lot of things at the European level across the continent, which isn't erasing anything. It's not getting rid of anything, and it's not subjugating anyone. What it's doing is it's actually making it easier for certain things to be done at certain places. And it's something that's very much thank you, Hades, for the follows. But it's something that's definitely... It's something that we need to work on in Europe, and it's something that we need to build up more, quite frankly. And it's something that we can't keep ignoring. Oh no, I'm not undermining the issue at all. I'm saying exactly what triggered the Gilets jaunes. I mean, I take a very... I don't want to say ambivalent, but I'm very neutral on the topic, because effectively what happens is, yeah, it increases inflation, it brings things up, but the reality is, ultimately, that if people vote for something that's implemented, what happens is if they don't like that, then maybe they shouldn't have actually voted for the thing in the first place, and people maybe need to think a bit more about what it means to follow a program and what they're voting for when it comes to the program, This comes to a question of voting for, like, again, how many people saw this and the Fredbear program and decided, you know what, I'm voting for this? Or even people, a friend of mine said that this was too much sex and blah blah blah, who saw this, then saw this and said, you know what, I'm voting for this guy, or this lady. But it's also a case of, are we ready for a lot of this? Have we done the R&D? Have we done the investment? Have we actually produced enough of what we need to actually be able to divest from fuel and give people options that aren't going to cost them more when they live in Brittany, when they live in the Massif Central, when they live in the etc., etc., It's something that you need to figure out how they're going to go about it. And you need to figure out how they're actually going to... They need to figure out how they can actually make it attractive to citizens. Because if they don't make it attractive to the citizens, they aren't going to be able to actually do something properly. And this is this is ridiculous, to be honest. It's just crazy. Yeah. Oh, and apparently we're seeing a lot more politicians who are crashing out and giving up the ghost. So apparently the Prime Minister of Belgium has just... It's okay. Interesting. I'm gonna go through a few other taglines while we wait for the actual results in minutes. Then we'll do a quick run through of what actually happened. Have a look. The things are... Why is it translating? First. So Robert Fico is potentially going to quit as well. But he'll stay because the man's guaranteed a Russian agent on his team. Shameless. Going on. Nothing here. Okay, so you finally have the French side. Okay, this is purely out of scope of what we're talking about. MR were quite high. The left, both of them, les engagés, they're okay. Blah, blah, blah. Germany, nothing has changed there. Looking at the European. Salt speed. Let me try to find Sweden actually. I've not had a look at them yet. We've had so many elections today that it's been... Oh, that is great news! Oh, I know the Initiativa Liberal guys. Oh, brilliant! Oh, that is great! Let me send a quick congratulations email to... Oh, that is great! Let me send a few messages to Anton. Great news. Good for them, quite honestly. Brilliant news. Those guys actually worked very, very hard and they went from almost nothing. So UDI is back. That's interesting. Gauche radicale. Oh, gauche républicaine, pardon. So they're out. Where's Sweden? Are you Sweden? Jasmine, if you have the link to the polls, send it over to me. Makes me sad all over again. Oh god, that just makes me vomit. It's horrible. Christ. What's your country, out of curiosity, Lofro? Very, love to get a better grip of where you're coming from. Ah, okay. That isn't. Poland. Oh, Sweden, okay, I've got an exit poll here. Not the best news. I mean, I'm gonna say chat rules, no naughty language. Let's try to keep the language higher than the ARN does. Oh, yeah, we're gonna get results in like a minute. Yeah, Sweden seats. Okay, that's not too bad, to be honest. Swedish Democrats are now. Yeah, but I mean, come on. Like if we want to raise the quality of EU elections, we need to be positive. I mean, for example, I did some work with the Bulgarians at one point. Promise, I always forget the names of your parties. I worked with Ilhan Küçük purely because he was leading in ALDE. God, who was it? I've completely forgotten who. Oh, I don't know. But what's exactly? Okay, we may actually have to wait a couple more. MRF? I can't quite remember. No, I don't think it was MLF. It was. They really hated the MLF guys. No, they were really not fans of. Oh, it wasn't Ilhan's party. I worked with Ilhan's party, but they were really anti-Ilhan at all costs. It was actually quite funny. But are we getting? Oh, cool! We've got results. See, guys, you should always rely on the French because the French bring forward information. I wasn't a socialist. Was it BSP? I don't know. No, it wasn't BSP. No, I always worked with the Liberals, to be honest. I never really... I have no idea who this is, for example. Okay, so... This is... interesting. Okay, so we actually have some good results, too. I mean, yeah, we'll leave the Bulgarian politics to the Bulgarian politicians, because it's an interesting situation. But, so we've got some... have results, guys. So we're starting to get some stuff through. And we're starting to get some information. I think we've got the information for the majority of the EU. So Italy is the last one to pop, basically. But... okay, so yeah, this is not as... it's just estimations. Ireland, there was something that popped up the other day. I think it was... Goyle or something. Et le Parlement européen va communiquer entre 23h15 et 23h30 une nouvelle protection. Okay, guys. I'm gonna take a brief break to go to the bathroom before we go into more stuff. So, I shall right back. Apologies, guys, I ended up muting myself again, but yeah, thanks for the patience. I just needed to take a quick break because it's already been a long day. But yeah. Yeah, so I mean, Politico's having a great time, as you can imagine, because this Politico's wet dream. Quite honestly, this is. Oh, I know the guys over there, and they like France is the easy. Keep punching back. Okay, so do we have any news at all, actually? Going through, do we? We don't actually have anything from Muslim, so I guess we'll go over to good old Europolacts. Remember to give those guys some. Have any? Okay, so we actually have. Oh no, God, forever isn't it? Okay, the Netherlands. 98.6%. There's not much that's going to change. So we're looking at Geert Wilders' PVV being ahead of everybody else. So Liberals are still at 7, so you know, good for them. GroenLinks and the PvdA, so the Workers' Party, is in first place. You can say the Liberals are in second place, but not really. PVV are really in second place, so you know. The FVD are in a bad spot, to be quite honest. I mean, they all went PVV, to be quite honest. So Volt did relatively well, and then the Farmers' Party and the New Social Contract did okay. What else do we have here? Also, there's another interesting thing about Volt is that they're not actually all on the same page. So Boslag is an outlier when it comes to a lot of the liberal policy, a lot of the policy because he's more liberal, and the party didn't even want to elect him as their candidate, I recall. Okay, percentages on Latvia. Ooh, okay. Okay, so Latvia's gone right. The left have kind of skewed into the ZDS coalition. Yeah. We'll see where this is going. We have unofficial results for Luxembourg, so everything stayed the same aside from the fact that the Liberals in Luxembourg lost parties to the far right. Go on. Where we get the Spanish information. Nice. Oh, okay. Slovakia. Oh, hey! Oh, that's really good. Oh, Progressive Slovakia. Well done, guys. Jesus Christ. Damn, I know what Yasmina was talking about earlier. Oh, damn, that's brilliant. Okay, so Smer are the pro-Russian, anti-Ukraine, anti-EU party in Brussels. Or in Europe, whatever. Slovakia. And Progressive Slovakia were the really hardcore, sort of Macronist types who were very pro-EU, pro-integration, pro-federalism, blah, 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 that kind of thing. And they seem to have really taken a hammer to just about everybody. That's... Do you have anything for... To be honest, purely because I feel like this is gonna take a while to get all the results, and to be honest, I don't think we're gonna get much out today. Let's finish off with this for now. So, okay. So the center right, so the EPP are gonna end up with 191. The center left, S&D are gonna have 137. And the Renew group are gonna have 88 seats, which I think is higher than expected, but lower than they had. You can see on the right there, you've got the calculation based on what they're winning. So the ECR have only gained 2, the ID have only gained 5, and the Greens lost 18. Plus the left lost 30, well, the left stay at 30, oh, they're 50. But here's the interesting thing: the guys from ID are also the Alternative for Deutschland are in the non-inscrit list, and they have their 20-something MEP or 16 MEPs. So they went CC. If they went ID, well, they got kicked out of ID. But if they hadn't gotten kicked out of ID, the ID would be the 4th strongest force. But, ladies and gentlemen, I will cut it off there, purely because I am tired and there's always time for more conversations later. But guys, thank you for joining the stream, I really appreciate it, and quite honestly, I appreciate the company while I investigated what was going on. So, thank you for your attention, thank you for your time, and thank you for your company. Ciao.